Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another video. And first of all, Merry Christmas everyone. I'm recording this on Christmas Eve to upload on Christmas Day tomorrow. So yeah, I hope you're all having a fantastic day. But anyway, today I'm going to be talking about 5 of the weirdest race cars to ever be driven in any motorsport. It can be a rally car, an open wheeler, a touring car, anything. But the only rule is that it has to have got past testing and be used in an official event. For example, the 1981 Williams 6-wheeler F1 car doesn't count since it was only ever tested and never actually raced. Speaking of 6-wheelers, that brings us on nicely to number 5, the Tyrrell P34. The 70s were filled with the weirdest of F1 cars since the cars were far less restricted and engineers could just go crazy experimenting new ideas. But I don't think I need to explain why this was a weird car. I mean, it's not exactly subtle. So this car is without question the most well-known example in this video, competing for 2 years in 1976 and 77 and did surprisingly well, putting Tyrrell third in the 1976 World Championship just behind Ferrari and McLaren, and even winning a race in the hands of future champion Jody Scheckter. However, its 6 wheels aren't unique, since throughout the 70s and early 80s, 3 other teams also experimented with 6-wheel cars. The previously mentioned 6-wheeled Williams with 4 wheels at the back, a 6-wheeled March also with 4 rear wheels, and even Ferrari tested this weird concept with 4 rear wheels but this time beside each other. This trend of 6-wheelers though soon died out, as by 1983 the FIA banned having more than 4 wheels on a car. And with how similar and regulated modern F1 cars are today, I doubt we'll ever see another car to look as insane as the Tyrrell P34 did. Now, coming on to number 4, we have the DeltaWing. The DeltaWing was raced from 2012 to 2016 and looked more like a fighter jet than a car. It first took part in the 2012 24 Hours of Le Mans, where it really stood out because of its crazy shape, making it pretty unique from any other car there. Sadly though, on lap 75 of the race, it was involved in a crash with an LMP1 Toyota at the Porsche curves, leaving it in the wall and out of the race. The DeltaWing would race again next year in the 2013 American Le Mans Series, switching from its previous black paint job to a new chrome design with red sponsors, similar to McLaren's F1 cars in the early 2010s. But sadly, throughout the year, it never placed higher than 3rd, finished bottom of its class in the Constructors' Championship and retired in the 2013 Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta. The next year, in 2014, it joined the grid for the debut season of the United Sports Car Championship, finishing the season in 12th in its class after another somewhat mediocre year. In the 2015 and 2016 seasons, it would go on to finish 8th in its class back to back. So unfortunately, the DeltaWing wasn't nearly as quick as the other cars in its class, and now it's only remembered for its insane jet fighter body. And in 2017, a regulation change meant the DeltaWing was no longer allowed to race, putting an end to the DeltaWing's legacy. Now, coming on to number 3, we have the Cadillac Series 61. Now, this car was easily the hardest to research for since it's by far the most obscure and there's barely any information about it, but anyway, it raced at the 1950 24 Hours of Le Mans, and at the time Cadillac was the first American team to ever take part. The team brought with them 2 Cadillac Series 61 road cars converted into race cars. One was fairly standard and was pretty much identical to the road car, whereas the other was a massive machine nicknamed Le Monstre, meaning the monster, and looked absolutely nothing like the road car. You can see why it was called that though, since most cars at the race looked very sleek and elegant, whereas this car looked very violent and aggressive with its angular bodywork and unusual but unique shape. At the race, however, the other Cadillac actually beat it, coming home in 10th, with this one coming home in 11th, after being stuck in the sand for half an hour and having to be dug out by hand. It had a top speed of 130 miles an hour or 209 kilometers an hour, which seems slow by today's standards but was insanely quick for the time. But that's pretty much it for this car. I wasn't lying when I said this was the hardest to research for, since it literally only ever took part in the 1950 24 Hours of Le Mans and never raced in anything ever again. Now, coming on to number 2, we have the Brabham BT46B. The Brabham BT46 was Brabham's F1 car in 1978, with Niki Lauda and John Watson gathering 8 podiums and 2 wins, putting Brabham third in the Constructors. You might be wondering what's so weird about this car, since it doesn't seem weird at all from the front, and for most races it didn't seem weird from the back either. Except at the 1978 Swedish Grand Prix, where it showed up with a massive fan on the rear bumper that was developed and designed in secret by Gordon Murray. This fan created insane amounts of downforce, making the cars stick to the road as if they were on rails. When this fan was discovered by the other teams, the legality of the cars were protested, but they were eventually allowed to race. Lauda and Watson qualified P2 and P3 behind championship leader Mario Andretti, but the next day Lauda would go on to win the race after Andretti suffered an engine failure in his Lotus. After the race there was a massive uproar from the other teams questioning the legality of the cars, with Lotus immediately beginning to design a fan version for their car as well. That was short-lived however, because for the next race fan cars were banned and Brabham was forced to revert back to their original model. Since this rule only came in after the race, it meant their result from the Swedish Grand Prix was legal and Lauda could still keep on to his win. Since it wasn't sanctioned by the FIA, the car was allowed to participate, with Piquet finishing in 4th, but after that, much like the Cadillac, it was never used in an official race ever again. And finally, on to number 1, we have the Toyota Prius GT300. The Japanese Super GT Championship is home to some of the fastest race cars in the world, built from road-legal supercars like Ferrari 488s, Lamborghini Huracans and Porsche 911s. So it came as a massive surprise in 2013 when the team APR rolled up to the first race in a Toyota Prius modified to qualify for the GT300 class. And APR still races today with Toyota Priuses competing in this year's Super GT Championship against the likes of Ferraris and Lamborghinis in the same GT300 class. This year the two Toyotas didn't do too well, coming 21st and 28th of 29 cars, so it goes without saying they're unsurprisingly not that competitive. But it's still funny to think in this year's championship results, a little Toyota Prius beat out the likes of 2 Mercedes AMG GTs, 2 Nissan GTRs, a Lexus RCF and an Aston Martin Vantage. That's just insane. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe, comment, share. And I hope you all have a fantastic Christmas today. I know I will, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.